Commander-in-Chief and President of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Deputy President, DSG and National Secretary. We are also joined by members of the War Council newly elected on our first Central Command team meeting. We have Commissar Vyogazi Ketibahle, Commissar Teko Mafanya, and Commissar Kakisang Mukhosi, and including Commissar Fana Mkwela. We shall start. The Economic Freedom Fighters held the first Central Command team meeting as elected by the First National People's Assembly on the 11th of January 2015. The primary task of the Economic Freedom Fighters First Central Command team was to process the report, resolution, and constitution as adopted by the First National People's Assembly. Before they are disseminated to all structures of the EFF and members of the society for them to know and internalize what will constitute the strategic, organizational, political, and ideological program of the Economic Freedom Fighters for the term of office of the current CCT. These reports were received by the CCT and will soon be distributed and explained to all members of the EFF through branch, regional, and provincial general assemblies, and made available to all members of the public through various communication channels. The CCT paid tribute to all fighters and commissars who have played a role in the formative stage of the EFF until the first successful National People's Assembly. We particularly appreciate the role played by the various ward, regional, provincial, and central command team members who played various roles in preparing the EFF for an elective National People's Assembly. The Central Command team also conveyed gratitude to the University of Free State for hosting the EFF amidst hostility from senior higher education department officials. The first National People's Assembly was a resounding success and will inspire more generations to come. The first CCT also had to constitute committees of the EFF and allocate specific tasks to individual members of the CCT. As per the adopted constitution, the War Council of the EFF is constituted of the top 6 officials and 9 members of the Central Command team, who will also serve as conveners of the Central Command team deployees to provinces for organizational and political work of the EFF. As adopted by the CCT, the War Council of the Economic Freedom Fighters, whose role is primarily the running of the EFF affairs on day-to-day basis, is constituted of the following commissars: Commander-in-Chief and President Julius Silo Madem, Deputy President Commissar Floyd Nigo Shivambu, Secretary General myself Godrich Ahmed Kadi, Deputy Secretary General Commissar Hlengiwe Hlophe Maxi, Treasurer General Commissar Magdalene Monsami, and the National Chairperson Commissar Dalimpofu, Advocate and Senior Counsel. Other members of the War Council are Commissar Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, Commissar Lien Mateis, Commissar Tebogo Mkwele, Commissar Veronica Mente, Commissar Teko Mafanya, Commissar Lungisi Rapolile, Commissar Kakisang Mukhosi, and Commissar Vyogazi Ketibahle, and lastly Commissar Fana Mkwela, our acting national spokesperson. All members of the Central Command team have also been allocated specific roles and responsibilities and are obligated to develop policy positions and implementable programs of action on the portfolios that they've been deployed to. It should be noted that the deployment of the Economic Freedom Fighters Central Command team members into specific portfolios, roles and responsibilities takes into cognizance that the EFF is a government in waiting and should therefore develop elaborate and concrete programs so that there's no difficulty of transition and familiarity when our movement takes over political power in 2019. The portfolios as allocated to the CCT commissars are as follows. They will get copies. In that regard from page 2 up to page 3. The first Central Command team agreed with the perspective that 2014 was indeed a year for the EFF, and further committed to make 2015 the year of holding the Organization for People's Power to achieve economic freedom in our lifetime. What this entails is that during the course of 2015, the EFF will finalize building structures of the EFF across all levels of the country, concentrating particularly in the following areas. 1. In 2015, the EFF will establish ward-based branches in all the wards of South African municipalities and ensure that they all receive political induction and education. In 2015, the EFF will establish the EFF Students' Command, which will contain student representative councils in all institutions of higher learning. In 2015, the Economic Freedom Fighters will commence the program of establishing the Economic Freedom Fighters Youth and Women's Command. In 2015, the EFF will lead radical and militant campaigns around all mining communities with the aim of ensuring that mines play a leading role in the mines. In 2015, Economic Freedom Fighters will lead radical and militant land redistribution program, which will give unoccupied land to landless masses of our people. In 2015, the EFF will make sure that Jacob Zuma pays back the money as instructed by the remedial actions of the public protector. In 2015, the EFF will table cogent alternate legislations on minimum wages, banning of labor brokers, and many other aspects contained in our elections manifesto. In 2015, the EFF will explore possibilities of establishing an internal bursary schemes which will take fighters and commissars to the best universities in South Africa, and the world to gain knowledge, skills, and expertise which will make members of the EFF ready to govern. This program and many other activities of the EFF will continue to place the EFF as the only ideological and trend leader in South African politics. It is evident now that whatever the EFF does is mimicked by both the ruling party and opposition parties, because we are a movement that has an innovative, cogent, and fearless form of political engagement. They will continue to follow as we lead, because we are the true movement of the people. The CCT also agreed to encourage all fighters and supporters of the EFF to attain formal qualifications on various educational and skills areas in the period leading to 2016 and 2019, because being in government will also require a dedicated but also a skilled cadre who shall fulfill all delegated responsibilities with excellence, expertise, and correct knowledge. The CCT will explore ways in which we provide practical support to all fighters who seek to pursue their studies, and an announcement will be made once this has been finalized. While noting reports that there is a possible fifth column in the EFF, the Central Command team holds the view that our organization and movement is united, and understand that there are few individuals who have not fully accepted that they were not elected into various command teams at branch, regional, provincial, and central levels. We call on all members of the EFF to close ranks and unite behind the struggle for economic freedom, and avoid the temptation of defining themselves outside the organization. Commitment made by the First National People's Assembly that there will never be a removal of any member deployed by the EFF still prevails, and at all times the organization will protect all members who respect its internal processes and are willing to be led by elected collective. Those who define themselves outside the EFF are not a responsibility of the organization, but they are free agents. The CCT will, over the next few weeks, visit provinces of the EFF to consolidate our program of action towards economic freedom in our lifetime. Overall analysis is that our movement is on track towards victory of the progressive socialist forces, and we shall overcome. That concludes the media statement of the Economic Freedom Fighters First Central Command team. We thank you.
Thank you, SG. We will take questions now from the media. I'll take them in batches, so maybe 5, 5, 5, and then we'll see how it goes. So we take the first 5 hands. Yes, 2. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close it at 2 hands. Sorry, there's a third one. Thank you. Okay.
In that case, I might go for 2 questions. David Smith of the Guardian newspaper in the UK. Just a couple of questions for President Malema. Can I ask, talk there of radical and militant programs around mines and land redistribution. Will all of that be within the law, or do you think sometimes breaking the law might be justified? And the second question is, Mr. Malema, do you feel there's a danger that you're a charismatic leader and that without you, the EFF would really struggle, that there is too much emphasis on one person?
Tiki Madia Power FM, just around, they're copying, a lot of people are supposedly following these policies for economic emancipation. I was speaking to Fana, I think over the weekend, and we spoke about that 6% offer to the ANC. And obviously it failed to work the first time round. You said it's still on the table. What's the EFF going to do to try and convince the ANC to come on board, to try and get the policies regarding land redistribution and economic emancipation to go EFF's way? What's going to be done differently from the offer in the previous year? Thanks.
Yes, the comments were from the Business Day TV. I just want to know, regarding the president, Jacob Zuma, saying that ESCOM's rules are part of apartheid, or rather they are the remnants of apartheid. What do you think of that? And another question, you mentioned that you'll make sure that Zuma pays back the money. Just to give some clarity, what exactly are you going to do differently than you did in 2014?
Okay, thank you very much.